Tri-City Radio, 98.7 CKPM FM, New York Dolls, Stranded in the Jungle. I don't know where that came from, but it's a fun song. It's 8:42. It's a Wednesday morning. Marc Lafrance is here a little early. We're probably going to get him on the air a little early because we can probably fill an hour and a bit worth of music. How are you, Marc?
I'm doing pretty good today. Thanks.
Marc Lafrance, give us a bit of a history of who Marc Lafrance is.
Oh, good Lord.
Well,
I've been in the business for about 1,000 years, so...
Yeah.
I go all the way back to Winnipeg. Grew up in St. Vital, so I was kind of part of that. The Beatles hit, and then the Guess Who hit. So I was kind of that era, inspired by the bands of that era, and fortunate enough to have gone on to play with many of these people. So and then sing on quite a few records over the years. Which we'll be playing some and talking about some, I guess.
Yeah. Now, you are a drummer. Did you start out being a drummer, or did you start out just wanting to be a musician?
Well, oddly enough, I was a young kid, like back in '64, and I happened to be watching. I was a horrible hockey player. French-Canadian name. Can you imagine that?
Just thinking
French-Canadian name with a horrible... My friends would come and cheer me on, laugh at my inability to play hockey. So I come home and all of a sudden this band, the Beatles, is on Ed Sullivan, and it was like, for me, it was like an epiphany. It was like, boom. All the chicks were freaking out, screaming at these guys. I said, hey, that's the job for me. It was simple as that. And I haven't done anything else since.
Nice. You have been, you've been blessed, I guess. Would you say that?
I would absolutely. I've been blessed in many, many ways. Definitely being able to make a living and a good living playing music my entire life, pretty much, since I've, not 10 years old. I mean, obviously I started playing when I was around 10, but I've always gigged and been fortunate enough to sing on a lot of, big name records and do what I love to do and spend time enjoying life at the same time, traveling, seeing the world. So it's been pretty sweet, yeah.
I imagine there's some great travel stories too, but we're going to play some commercials in a second, but just give us an idea of some of the people you've sang with on their albums.
I've sang on 4 Motley Crue albums, worked in Bon Jovi, The Cult, Scorpions, Donna Summer, Carly Simon, Glass Tiger, Poison. I think I sang on a Darby Mills album, actually. It was produced by Dave Pical years ago. So many, Paul Jantz. There's quite a few. I probably have to go look to remember. There are a lot of over 100 albums, I think.
That's amazing. You've got a phenomenal voice. You're one of the best drummers that I know, because there's you, there's Matt Fournette, there's Jerry Adolph, that you guys actually hit the drums and play like you're supposed to play. And it's nice watching that.
Yeah, you don't want to be polite if you're a rock drummer.
Yeah, exactly. Marc Lafrance, the very polite, unpolite drummer, is with us. We're going to play some commercials, come back.
The Tri-Cities Community Calendar, brought to you by
04-936-1111.
Well, it says here the Roots of Crocus are one of the, I guess they branch off as one of the many groups that have sprouted from the Guess Who family tree. Marc Lafrance is with us. Crocus, your first big group?
I would say so, yeah. First recording act. I was in several Winnipeg bands that were, great cover bands. Musical Odyssey, my first band, Losinger's Morgue. I'm sure everybody remembers that one.
I was at that concert.
That's right, yeah. Yeah, we only did one concert, I think. But
the Crocus, you got together with these guys.
Yeah, that was right. Actually, it was Greg Lescu and Bill Wallace, who, of course, played in the Guess Who for years. He replaced Jimmy Cale twice, actually. He replaced them first time round in the early days. And then, of course, when they did the reunion, he replaced amazing bass player, probably, one of the people that I worked with years ago that had a great voice, amazing knowledge of music, and there was Greg Lescu, great guitar player, songwriter, Herman Froome, great keyboard player, and Larry Pink, another amazing keyboard player. It's probably one of the most amazing times of learning for me, just, being in the studio for the first time and with all these older guys that were legends in my town, right? So it's pretty cool.
It is. And do you ever look back and really notice how much of great talent came from Winnipeg?
Oh yeah, it was because Winnipeg was a unique. It was so cold. All we could do is go into rehearsal halls and practice. But it had that. I think the unique thing about Winnipeg was that we were fortunate that soon after the Beatles hit, we had. It was like the Liverpool of North America. There was every street corner had every street had three different bands, and you had all of a sudden the Guess Who, a band breaks out of your hometown, and you go, it was attainable because you'd see these guys from your hometown make, and you go, yeah, they're great, but you look at them and you go, hey, I can do that, right? So it was really quite a unique town, I think, in the whole of North America, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, me being Birds Hill, I was born just north of
Right.
Winnipeg. Yeah. This is Crocus. This is Running Start. Marc Lafrance is with us, Tri-City Radio. Tri-City Radio, 98.7 CKPM FM. That's Crocus Running Start. Marc Lafrance is here, one of the members of Crocus. And I'm thinking back, I had the 8-track tape, and it was kind of a beige color, I think, with chairs on it, right?
Yes, that's right. It had a lady sitting on some kind of a wicker chair.
Yeah. I had a 1968 Chevy Nova with an 8-track tape player, and I was in Calgary, and listening to that one right there. I remember it exactly where I was the day I got the tape.
I know that was.
That's funny. So, Crocus in Winnipeg. How long did you stay in Winnipeg, and what took you out of Winnipeg?
Well, I guess basically being in Crocus, the band was together for about 4 years. So basically, I was living out of a suitcase that whole time, traveling the country. So we were, we were in Vancouver. I mean, we'd be recording a record in Winnipeg, drive to Toronto at the CNE, warm up Burton Cummings at the CNE, and then do a little bit more work on our album Winnipeg, and then drive all the way to Vancouver to warm up Prism at the PNE. So it was like we were touring all the time, warming up Doucette and Lisa Del Bella and whatever the acts were at the time. So
well, I imagine you had to warm up Streetheart too, because that's another Winnipeg band. Yeah,
we did a tour with Streetheart around that same time period. I think our second album came out.
Nice. So Marc Lafrance is with us. Going to play some commercials here and come back and find out what his next thing was. So started with Crocus. Let's find out what he did after Crocus.
Faster when you fly Orca Air.
It's 8:57. Good morning, Rod MacBeth, the Tri-City Morning Show. Marc Lafrance is with us, one of the best drummers around, a great vocalist as well. Right now, you spend a lot of your time with what couple of bands?
Well, when I first came to Vancouver, which I finally ended up moving here because I loved it so much.
Yeah.
I ended up, I played with Trooper. I played with did an album with Sherry Ulrich, Bruce Miller, and also with Prism. I was actually with Prism and Trooper around the same time. I was playing with Trooper, and then I'd fly to L.A. Henry Small was in the band at the time, so I'd go there and we'd be doing a video or rehearsing to go on a tour that we never did, but
yeah.
And that was as well as doing a lot of jingle work, singing on commercials and stuff with Bryan Adams.
Yeah. See, and we talked about that, and so you got your start, and you musicians have got to do something. You can't just wait for the next gig to come around. So a lot of you did session work.
You had to. Yeah, you would sing on commercial. I remember at that time because Brian's career was starting to take off, so he stopped singing lead vocals on jingles, and he'd just come in and do, we do a Chevy ad or whatever, and he'd come in and be part of it. He was great, always been a great singer, right? So, yeah. And his writing partner, Jim Valance, was quite often the session drummer on the session that we'd be singing, although I did end up, when I first moved here, I did a fair amount of drumming work as well, so it was kind of cool.
So you got involved with the guys from Trooper. How fun was that? That
was fantastic. That was they was just a great band to play with them. I think I worked with them. I always kind of make a joke because I say that they've had a lot of drummers over the years.
Well, Ron Barnett, Tommy Stewart, yeah.
But Tommy, I'm the original drummer to replace the original drummer. So Tommy Stewart, who is. But they were great to work with, and of course we traveled right across Canada. And they were still, when I first joined them, we were still doing fairly big venues, hockey rinks and that type of thing. So, but they were wonderful. They were great ended up leaving the band because my session started singing on a lot of albums, and I think I was out east one time and I got a call from Adams to sing on an album. I wasn't able to do it, and I kind of made a decision. I guess I better stick around town, and then that's what I did. I ended up leaving the band and then sticking around and joining Cease and Desist, which we can talk about later.
We'll talk about that in a bit. Yeah, those guys, yeah. Here's Trooper here for a good time, Tri-City Radio. Marc Lafrance is here, ex-Trooper drummer, Tri-City Radio, 98.7 CKPM FM. So do you find yourself, Mark, when you still hear that song, hitting those high notes at the end, or is that all Ray that was doing that?
Ray did. He had a great voice. That last note, I mean, that last note that he hits there is quite something. He was always phenomenal, a great live singer and wonderful guy.
And you look at that, and we talk about great musicians. Smitty, a phenomenal guitar player and underrated,
and an amazing showman. I mean, he was like our Peter Townsend. I mean, he's even did that spin. Just they were. I mean, we never left that stage with doing 3 or 4 encores. It was pretty amazing. Band live.
That's great. That's Trooper here for a good time. Mark spent how many years you with Trooper?
I think about 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, and then I think Ron Barnett Ron Barton took after you.
Yeah, Ronnie Barron.
Ron Barron, that's it, Barron. Yeah, because I went to school with him.
Yeah.
This funny story here. His sister Ruth was, I think, a year older than us, and Ron Barron was Chalmers Elementary in Delta, and there was a band that was going to play at 1 noon hour. And there's this guy, he's drumming and he's singing Proud Mary, and his sister's in the back covering her ears because she's embarrassed because her brother's playing and singing. It's kind of funny. Ron Barron, that's right. So you, besides being the musician you were, so you left Trooper because you were getting too much session work.
It really got to the point where it was between jingles and then starting to do albums. I was fortunate enough to be in the chain of Little Mountain Sound. So, you'd be sitting in there one day singing on a Chevy commercial or a McDonald's ad, and then Bruce Fairbairn or Bob Rock would walk in the hallway and go, "Oh, Mark, are you busy next week? I'm doing the Blue Murder. I need you for some background vocals, or I'm working on the new Cult album. Can you come?" So it was that kind of. You'd be in doing one thing, and it was sometimes I just show up there and have a cup of coffee and get a gig. It was great.
See, it sure beats doing a squeegee thing, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
Your first session that you remember for a band?
Well, I think one of the first big sessions would have been the Blue Murder album, and then the Cult was I think Firewoman out. What's the name of that album?
Yeah, I can't remember the name. I remember the song though.
I know it's terrible that I can't remember the name of half the album, but Firewoman, I do remember that. It was an amazing track.
So when you're in doing these sessions, do you just have the vocal tracks, or do they actually have the members of the band there when you go down?
A lot of them, the members of the band. I think the only album session I remember where the band wasn't there was Cher, because she was, we just did all the vocals, and then I think Bob flew to LA and did all he actually had another singer singing her parts, and then she'd listen to him and learn them, and I guess but almost all the other albums, all the members were there, helping in the production and making sure that we were singing what they wanted us to sing, right?
Yeah, that's cool. So well, here's your first one. This is Cult, Firewoman, Tri-City Radio. Tri-City Radio, 98.7 CKPM FM, Cult and Firewoman. Marc Lafrance is here. Mark, great drummer, background vocalist for a lot of people you might not know. That one there, you did the background vocals on that.
That's right.
It's the band were around for a short time. I've always liked Ian's vocals.
Yeah, he's a great singer.
Now, the one that I find the strangest, we don't have this song here, I don't think, or the album, but doing background vocals for Cher.
Yes, yeah. It was that was a great album that did fairly well. And unfortunately, I said she's the one of the few artists I didn't get to meet, but still, pretty proud that not how many people can say they worked on a Cher album. Right?
I know a lot of people out there, women are going, ooh, and now they want your autograph because you, The producers, Bruce Fairbairn was phenomenal.
Great, yeah.
Bob Rock is phenomenal. The working relationship between you and the producers as a musician, how does that...
Well, different producers work in different ways, right? So I've got to work with David Foster too. So he was there. All the great producers just have a way of they're like it's like being a director in a movie. They it almost in a way. I mean, I've done some producing myself. It's almost like you become more of a coach, more of a almost a babysitter in some regard, and it's very interesting how different guys. Some producers allow you to contribute more. Others are very specific about what they want you to do, but all of them, the great ones, always get amazing results. So I've been fortunate to work with some of the best. Jim Vallance, the Glass Tiger album I worked. Don't Forget Me When I'm Gone, which was a great track.
I think I've got that somewhere here.
Yeah.
He sounded a lot like Bryan Adams when Alan Frew sang that. He did. He probably gets that a lot. Hey, can you play that Bryan Adams song, Don't Forget Me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Loverboy. Talk about another great guitar player, Paul Dean. You've got Matt Furnett, Scott Smith, Mike Reno. You did backup on one of their albums.
Yeah, worked on quite a few tracks with them. Loving Every Minute of It was great tune. And I think it was written by Mutt Lange.
Yeah.
And but it's just a great track. And actually, I think in the background, Ray McGuire sang with us on that one.
So when you guys do this, other than, like you get the big crowd noise in some of the back of these, do they get you in and isolate each and every one of you, or would they get you and Ray in together, or you and Brian in together to do things?
Well, on the gang parts, you'd have sometimes like with the Bob Rock stuff, that was Dave Steele and I did pretty much a good portion of that together. And then depending on artists, like with the Motley stuff, I would do a lot of like two-part stuff, and even in some instances some of the melody with Vince as a double with him and stuff. So it's different songs have different approaches. So
cool. Well, here's Loverboy, loving every minute of it. Tri-City Radio 98.7 CKPM FM. Tri-City Radio, 98.7 CKPM FM. That's Loverboy, loving every minute of it. Mike Reno. That's a fun song. I've always liked Loverboy. They're a fun band, and it was nice to see them back together after they went their own separate ways for a while.
Well, Paul produced my solo album, the Marc Lafrance album. So.
Yeah, and we're going to play some of that because there's a couple of songs on there, and I think the one I remember is Runaway. You shot a video for that one.
That's right. I think you actually worked radio for me for that.
I tried to work radio, and I put in probably about $300, and I never billed you for that because I never got any response back.
Well, you should send me the invoice.
Yeah, this would have been 1993 or so, I think, right? 92, somewhere in there, yeah.
Kiss the Fire did pretty well. It did pretty well.
Yeah, but we never really got... I felt I didn't... give you what you deserved for...
Well, you know what? I think that was a tough period of time because by the time my album came out, which was the hard edge stuff, because I'd sung on a lot of that style of music, so it seemed like a natural thing for me to do. I put that record out, and then all of a sudden, a new style of music. You had Nirvana, and so that kind of that was kind of ruling the waves of music at that time. So I kind of look at myself as, back when the Beatles hit, you remember you had all the Bobbies, Bobby V, Bobby Curtola, and all of a sudden they disappeared off radio as soon as the Beatles hit. I got Bobby V, man.
We talked about people you work with, and you forgot about half of these because you've done so much. Yeah. So just to run it down, Alice Cooper.
Yes.
Blue Murder, who Jim Sykes, the guitar player for Whitesnake. You did Beggars and Thieves.
Yeah.
Bon Jovi, the Keep the Faith. Carly Simon, Cher.
Yeah.
Chilliwack.
Yeah.
The
That's
Cult.
Right. Yeah.
Darby Mills, David Foster, David Lee Roth, Dirty Rhythm, The Electric Boys, Glass Tiger, Little Caesar, Loverboy, Motley Crue on 4 Motley Crue albums.
That's right. Yeah.
Paul Dean on his album. Paul Jantz, The Payolas, Poison, Prison. Choir Boys, forgot about them.
Right.
Rockhead, Scorpions, Sherry Ulrich, Soul Temple, Straight Lines, 38 Special, Trooper, and Zappa Costa.
Yes, that's right. I forgot. I played in Straight Lines. That was another band that I toured with, actually. Great Peter Clark and David Sinclair, Bob Buckley.
Yeah,
great.
I've got to find some Straight Lines because that's another West Coast band.
That's a great band, yeah.
We should be playing, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, they're great. The hardest part of love is letting go.
Yeah, that's right. Wow. And 38 Special, too. Yeah, that was...
It was on his movie soundtrack, Revenge of the Nerds 2, and Jim Vallance produced that.
Nice.
And actually, it was Adams and Vallance that wrote that track.
Yeah, I remember that because I was working at a rock station then, and we played it because it was an Adams Vallance song. But yeah that's cool. Alan Frew, you got to sing background for him. You've actually toured with him. Can we talk about those tours you guys do with Alan Frew?
That's right. Yes, we can. We did a military tour with Alan. Oddly enough, we rehearsed with him, played with him in Goose Bay, Labrador. We're a warm-up show because we basically fly to Trenton and rehearse for a military show. And I think Patricia Conroy was on there, and so with a couple of other artists, and Alan was one of the acts as well. We did a show in Goose Bay, Labrador, and left in a Herc in a storm on our way up to Alert, which is at the top of the planet. So we get to Alert in this Herc, and the landing gear won't come down.
Wow.
So it was like we were a little nervous. It almost turned into the Buddy Holly story there for a while, but it was like the plane had circled around for about an hour and a half or 2 hours, and then they started ripping the plane apart, and finally they pulled some bolts out. The gear came down, and then we flew to Thule, Greenland, and landed safely. But it was a little bit, it was pretty scary.
I guess. Holy cow.
So that's one of those stories that apparently once we landed, they said you know how the Hercs, they open up the back and they can dump. Well, they had all of our gear on this gurney, and they were, they were close to dumping the stuff out and crash landing the plane. So they were getting ready to dump the stuff in the tundra there.
Wow.
Actually, it's right in. It's if you stand at a certain point where we play, cause we made it there. Next year we actually went and played.
Yeah,
because we were brave enough to go back. But if you stand at a certain point, you're the closest person to the North Pole on the whole planet.
Wow, that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
that'd be fun to do one of those tours.
So that's one of the Alan Frew. But Alan was a great guy. He was fun to work with. Great guy.
And a lot of people mistake this song for a Bryan Adams song because of the vocal similarities.
Well, I think Adams actually sings in this. He actually sings he sings a couple of lines in it by himself. That's why the connection. Right?
That's why. Here's Glass Tiger, Don't Forget Me When I'm Gone, Tri-City Radio. Tri-City Radio, 98.7 CKPM FM. Glass Tiger, Don't Forget Me When I'm Gone. So you've answered the question. I thought, why does Alan Frew sound so much like Bryan Adams in that song? And it's because
it is Bryan Adams singing.
Things I didn't know.
Yeah.
Did you take singing lessons as a kid, or did you have a vocal coach, or did you just find out you could sing?
When I first started playing, there was a guy down the street, Jake Tappershander, who played, and him and this other guy, Gordon Nunn, were trying to put a band together. Jake was a drummer, so he decided he would, they couldn't find a guitar player, so he learned how to play guitar, and he taught me how to play drums. And then he was always amazed that he'd go, how high, he'd get me to sing, hey, hit this note, hit this, how high I could sing. So I started singing initially exactly at the same time as I started drumming, because these guys couldn't believe that I could actually sing high parts that most people couldn't.
You've got to be a special breed of animal to be able to drum and sing. I mean, you've got to separate your brain because you've got all this rhythm going here, and then you've got to think of the words as you're doing it.
Yeah, it is. It's quite I mean, I've been doing it since I'm a kid, and some songs are more difficult and a little bit more challenging, but it definitely is it's an amazing feeling when you master it. Like if you're, screaming out a song at the top of your range and banging the hell out of these drums. It's just such an amazing feeling when you actually get to the part where you can do it.
Did you ever keep in touch, or did you ever talk to Jake or Gordon?
Yeah, I do. I haven't talked to Gordon Nunn, but I have kept in contact with Jake Tappershander, because he was like, I still have, because obviously once they they found a guitar player. I was going to be replaced, right? But that never happened. And Jake and I ended up buying a set of green sparkle Ludwigs together back in 1967. And I didn't have enough money, so he bought them. And I eventually bought the drums off him, which I still have to this day.
Wow.
Yeah, they're a great set of drums. They're like a collector's item now, but yeah, so I haven't talked to him in about a year or so, but I still keep in contact because he was a guy, him and another fellow, Glenn. My first set of drums that I had was a fellow called Glenn Lusinger. There was a band house that we had when I was a kid. We had, kids have a fort. Well, we had a house. We had a house. It was $60 a month. You could rent this house, and we called it the band house. And Glenn Lusinger was responsible for us getting this house. And he took me and this other guy to a music store, and he said, "Look, I'm going to buy these drums. They're about $100. My parents could never afford to buy drums. And he said, I'm going to buy this guitar, another $150 at the time, little guitar. And he said, you learn how to play these drums, they're yours. And so I learned how to play them, and those drums I ended up trading in on the green Ludwig. So again, without this guy, because my parents could have never afforded drums. So it's kind of unique to have these little stories of how you actually you had people that were there that felt you had talent enough to support you back even when you're 10 years old.
Yeah, that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
What did your parents think when you started all this?
They were always 100% supportive. I mean, the only thing my dad couldn't understand is why I grew my hair so long. Because first back then I was into the John Lennon phase with the hair down, way down with the wire rim glasses and stuff. But they were come out to my gigs because eventually you started playing pubs and stuff, and they come out. They never, he couldn't understand because he was a musician. He played fiddle.
Okay.
Could never understand how I could make money doing this, right?
Well, a Frenchman playing the fiddle at the Club Rendezvous in
There we
Winnipeg.
go. There we go. That's right. His brothers had a band, Lafrance. They had, a couple of them played fiddle. One of my uncles played really good banjo, but never pursued it, right?
Yeah, well, there's not too many banjo players in Winnipeg that I know of. So, Marc Lafrance is with us. We're going to take a break, come back, and I guess one of the best-known bands worldwide that he's worked with, we're going to play one of their songs next.
Staying competitive in today's business environment is a constant challenge.
Conspiracy Show, every week on Tri-City Radio, 98.7 CKPM FM.
It's 9:33. Good morning, Rod MacBeth with you, the Tri-City Morning Show. Marc Lafrance is here, professional musician, session singer, great drummer, now one of the best-known bands you have done background vocals for, Motley Crue.
Yes, yeah. I did several albums with them. Great guys to work with, really.
They're fun. I worked at a bar called Club Soda. And
I remember that place.
They do too, because they used to come in after they were finished. Was that Little Mountain they recorded that at?
Yes.
Yeah. And we're going to probably try to play two songs on this one, the rocker, but Home Sweet Home.
Yes, Home Sweet Home. It's funny because they did a I think it was, I can't remember what album it was on. It was one of the albums where they did some new mixes, and Bob gave me a shout and said, "Hey, Mark, can you bring the other two guys in your band, Mick Delavie and Brent Knutson, to come and do some background vocals on a track?" I said, "Yeah, sure." So we came in, and we ended up redoing the background parts of Home Sweet Home. So.
Wow.
So when you're listening to this version of it, you're actually hearing Cease and Desist singing the chorus in Home Sweet Home.
Well, here it is, Home Sweet Home, Tri-City Radio. Tri-City Radio, 98.7 CKPM FM, Motley Crue, Home Sweet Home. Marc Lafrance, session singer, drummer, member of Cease and Desist, a band that has been around. How many years has Cease and Desist been around now?
Probably about 100, I think.
you look at yourself one morning and says, yes, how did I get here?
Yeah.
But yeah,
and I think that Mick and I, November 1st this last year was 30 years. I think right now, February, the beginning of February, it's been 27 years with Brent. So we're getting close to having to have another reunion party,
Anytime's a good time for a party. Now, there's not a lot of live venues left. You guys will play the casinos on occasion.
Yeah.
And the Union Jack in New West, they have you there on occasion.
We have fun. It's a great it's a great little spot to play, and it's low pressure, and it's great to get out and play wherever you can. You make a couple bucks, plus it's like going to the gym, man. You got to play. You got to play all the time, and not just play in your basement. You got to get out and play in front of people. And whenever I get an opportunity to do that, I do it. And we've been very fortunate because we get to do a lot of corporate gigs and play with Randy, and so we've been a very lucky band.
Yeah, you have. I mean, I'm just thinking, like, you go to Nashville and you'll see these bands, and all of a sudden, they're just great musicians.
Yeah.
You don't know it might be George Strait's drummer. It might be, some other guy like But we have this kind of the same thing here at a live venue because there's great musicians out there, and you guys will get out and have your own side gigs, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Because you got to play. It's a fun thing. And if you've been a musician all your life, if you don't go out and play on Friday and Saturday nights for too long a stretch of time where you don't play, you start to get weird.
Yeah, that's strange coming from a drummer.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we're naturally weird anyway.
That's you talk about these corporate gigs, and you get to see the world through some of these corporate gigs. Did you ever thought you'd be at the Indy 500?
No, I know, it's pretty amazing. It's like we've been there. I think we're going again this year. It's the 100th anniversary, and they just treat us incredibly. We get to see the race. We get to go into the pits, and like I said, we've been to the North Pole. We've been to Egypt. We did a military tour in Cairo just before the revolution broke out, and drove for 5 hours through the Sinai Desert and drove through areas of Al Qaeda. As a matter of fact, I got a little bit of a wound from one of the attacks, but anyway, we won't talk about it.
Yes, my cocktail fork stabbed me when we hit the drum. The other part of your life that how long ago did you start playing with Randy Bachman?
I think it's coming on 8 or 9 years. Brent and I joined, and Mick has been playing, I think, for 17 years with him. He joined first, but.
Yeah, and you look at the things you've done with Bachman Turner and then Randy Bachman. I mean, the French Alps, driving through the French Alps.
Well, no, the French Alps was a cease and desist corporate gig. Yeah, we actually got because we used to do this gig in Whistler at Monk's, which was amazing, and some of these gigs that we got came from doing this gig, and this client, was throwing a 40th birthday party for his wife for about, 30 people, and flew us to Morzine, so we went up to the French Alps in July and did a gig and came home. It was great. And we did that in Hawaii. We've done that a lot. Hawaii. We've been, like I said, we've had some pretty amazing, between Bachman and Cease and Desist, it's been quite a tour schedule of seeing places, great places in the world.
Yeah. Now, Randy Bachman and Bachman Turner, you were in New York.
Yes, we did the Roseland Ballroom and did a DVD there. It was incredible.
And you got to play with a guy that people might know, and I don't know if he's a hero of a lot of guys. I'm proud he's Canadian.
Oh, yeah.
He's a fun guy.
Oh, Paul Schaefer's amazing. Yeah. Amazing guy, and a real fun guy to work with and hang out with.
And he's playing keyboards in the song?
Yes, he's playing keyboards.
So here's Bachman Turner with Mark, Mick, and Randy, and Fred, and Paul Schaefer. Yeah,
right,
it's taking care of business. Tri-City Radio. Now I know why you wanted to play that one, Marc Lafrance. Holy cow.
Well, every drummer loves the fanfares. That's why you get to play every lick, right?
Yeah, it's like, and I was getting tired. I thought, wow, that takes... So you do have a workout regime, you do?
Yeah, I do, actually. My wife and I, Dorota.
Yeah.
We go to the gym pretty much every day, and I find it really necessary nowadays. Well, I've always been pretty, health conscious to some degree.
Yeah.
Of course, she has reinforced that.
She is a marvelous lady. I've only ever met her a couple times because it's when we're out someplace, it's loud.
Yeah,
so you
exactly.
never sit down and talk. And then does she? Obviously, she loves what you do.
Yeah, she loves it, but she's like, probably my number one fan, but also very supportive and knows when to kick my butt, which, everybody needs to have one of those. And she's one fine, very smart, really, 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 really brilliant, smart lady. She's also a real estate agent. Man, I throw a plug in there for her. So if you're looking to sell your house anywhere in BC.
Where does she work?
She works for 2% Realty.
And that's in North Vancouver, right?
Yeah, that's her broker's out of North Vancouver with her, Michael Bowie, and so
Dorita Lafrance.
DeRosa. Everybody calls her. There's been some good plays with her name. We won't. I don't want to embarrass her. She's probably listening right now.
Sorry, she's gonna. Yeah, it's like I've only ever talked to you once, but boom.
Yeah.
So she's Polish descent.
Yes, I met her in Warsaw, coming on 14 years, and we've been married. It's coming on 10 years married this May as well. So,
and very beautiful lady too.
Beautiful, smart, and
you've got some friends in Poland.
Yes,
and some of them are musicians.
That's right, Kemia.
Yeah, we play Hero here, but they've got a new album out.
That's right.
A little bit about the album.
Well, we did this recorded actually in Sopot, which is on the Baltic Sea in Poland. And Mike Fraser, who is an incredible engineer, came with me and produced this and did a little background work and worked with these guys. They're just really great. We're looking at hopefully doing another one hopefully before the end of the year. Again with Mike, so we're kind of excited about that.
And Mike's probably phoning you up, saying, "Hey, Mark, come on, I want to go back to Poland because I love it there."
Well, he loved it. Yeah, it was great. It was really, really. I mean, you're in the studio 14 hours a day, but it's still this area is just. Well, I love Poland. It's definitely has a special place in my heart. It's really got some amazing history and the old churches and just all kinds of different. The people are wonderful. The food, it's great.
Excellent. Well, here's Kemia, new music. This is Fun Gun, Tri-City Radio. Wow. Kemia, Fun Gun. That is a fun song.
Yeah.
Marc Lafrance is here this hour. It was almost an hour and a half. It went by way too fast. Holy
cow.
Now, Kemia is huge in Europe.
Well, they're huge. Yeah, they're huge. Yeah, I think they're huge, but I mean, they're obviously building like a lot of rock is a building proposition these days. So
yeah, and you look at it like, well, if it's not from Canada, we haven't heard it. But then Canada is only like 35 million people. How many people are in Poland?
Canada's like 2%. I think there's an equal number of people in Poland, but Canada's like 2% of the world music industry. Not as far as our artists. There's two different things. Our artists are huge. We're we're like really like major. I mean, right now, if you look I was looking at SoundScan a couple weeks back, and you had Bieber with 3 singles in the top 10.
Let's not talk about Bieber, please.
I know, but Shawn Mendes, the new pop guys, right? Yeah. And they're a lot of the biggest artists are Canadian guys right now. So we got to be proud of that. But rock is having a bit of a struggle these days. But it's, I think it's like everything. There's a piece of a pie, and we're like a piece of the pie now. So
yeah, we are. And you, like I said, you've been lucky to do what you do.
Absolutely.
You now, when do you go back on the road again? Do you know?
Yeah, we got a tour. Bunch of dates with Randy in April in Eastern Canada and in the eastern part of the U.S. And, of course, we just did that Legends rock cruise, which was pretty cool with Peter Frampton.
One of the best live-selling albums ever.
Yeah,
Peter Frampton. Frampton Comes Alive. Dwayne Allman was on that cruise.
Greg Allman.
Greg Allman. Yeah,
Greg Allman and can't get enough.
Paul Rogers?
No. Some kind of wonderful.
Grand Funk, Mark Farner, Grand Funk. Yeah.
Well, he wasn't in the band, but the original drummer and bass player, and there was quite a lineup.
That's amazing. Yeah, Marc Lafrance. We're going to have his website up on our Facebook page, and also the audio for this later on today. Your solo album. What does it feel like to be able to do a solo album of your stuff?
Well, it felt pretty great, and the cool thing about that record is I did it independently and managed to. I started my record company, Delinquent Records, out of this, where I was able to actually. I used to go to this conference in southern France, Midem, and I managed to license this to several different companies, and got a lot of the songs on that record ended up being placed in a different TVs and some films and stuff. So it was kind of a cool thing. And I ended up representing a lot of other artists over the years and doing a number of licensing deals just from doing that record. So it was pretty exciting time.
It's neat, and I'm looking at Spinner. Was that Wolfgang?
Yeah, that was
Wolfgang.
Wolfgang.
Wolfgang Brandt.
I think he passed away, though.
Did he? Oh,
I heard. Yeah,
he was Warner Brothers originally.
Yeah, he was the head of Warner Music
on the coast here.
On the coast here. Great. He was a great guy.
Great. Here's Marc Lafrance. Thank you for being here.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
This is Runaway, Tri-City Radio.